After a long night of drama, a contingent of police officers have finally left Kapsaret MP Oscar Sudi's home after failing to arrest him over alleged hate speech remarks he made against the Kenyatta family. We have a lot in line for you, but first, here are other stories making headlines. Coast Region is ready to produce a president, says Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho. DP Ruto tells leaders to focus more on pressing issues affecting Kenyans instead of selfishness. Musalia Mudavadi calls on Kenyans to back President Uhuru Kenyatta's efforts in the fight against corruption. A very good evening to you. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Also stand by to bring you sports news is Cedric Oronje. And remember, you can tell us where you're watching from without forgetting your name on our SMS line of 111 and tell us, of course, your name and where you're watching from. Tonight we begin with ex-Prime Minister Raila Odinga has today met the coastal region leaders in pushing for the Building Bridges Initiative politics in Kenya. Mombasa Governor Hassan Joho has said the coast region is ready to produce a president. However, this will only made easier, or rather will be made easier through the BBI. Fatma Ngwena now reports.
Speaking today at World Waters Complex in Mombasa, ODM Chief Raila Odinga said the long chat he had with President Uhuru Kenyatta that led to the birth of the BBI was precipitated by the problems that Kenyans have and need to be solved. Raila, however, said there are people in the government who are busy opposing the same government they are claiming to serve.
Ilikuwa imebaki tu Nakuru, alafu tumalize na Nairobi. Ndio corona ikaruka kutoka huko juu.
On the other hand, Mombasa Governor Ali Hassan Joho said the BBI has the instruments to ensure even the minority communities make it to the presidency, and that building alliances and partnerships are essential to that dream.
We have a meaningful conversation and our contribution towards the Building Bridges Initiative kwa njia ambayo hata mtu yoyote, sio lazima utoke katika kabila kubwa ndio uweze kuwa rais. Mimi nakwambia, na nawaambia nyinyi ndugu zangu wa Mombasa, some of us will not wait to be given positions. We will go and get those positions ourselves.
Joho added that there must be policies and structures put in place to ensure these alliances and policies, as the region will be more aggressive this time round so as to be at the national negotiation table.
BBI is much more deeper than that. Atiyo ukiongeza si utakuwa unajiweka mzigo, atiweke kazi ya waziri mkuu, utaweka mzigo bana. Waziri mkuu atakuwa ni mbunge, anapata mshahara kwa bunge, anapewa tu allowance kama wengine yeye kufanya kazi ya serikali. Mimi nilikuwa waziri mkuu, mimi nilikuwa nakula mshahara kwa bunge.
The ex-Prime Minister Raila Odinga said the BBI will solve the two-thirds gender rule that Parliament has failed to solve, and noted that 50 years after independence, Kenya is still a developing country. He said 316 billion shillings is a small token compared to 3 trillion shillings budget that Kenya has. Fatma Ngwena, Switch TV.
Still on matters politics, Deputy President William Ruto has urged leaders to focus more on pressing issues affecting Kenyans instead of pursuing their own interests. Addressing members of the African Church of the Holy Spirit at his Sugoi home in Uasin Gishu County today, the Deputy President said the debate, discussions and conversations now should be about how to address challenges facing majority of Kenyans. Wellington Ojuang filed the report.
Deputy President Dr. William Ruto has today urged leaders to shun away from tribal politics while attending a church service at the African Church of the Holy Spirit in Sugoi, Uasin Gishu County. Dressed in religious attires, Ruto said the current debate should be about priority issues affecting Kenyans other than those beneficial to leaders.
The discussion and the conversation and the debate must change. It cannot continue to be about the leaders of Kenya, their positions, their interests, their issues. It must be about the 47 million of us, the 6 million young people who today are languishing because they don't have jobs.
DP Ruto added that it was quite unfortunate that some leaders are pursuing issues that will benefit them at the expense of exploring ways of solving problems facing the Kenyans.
Tumepewa nafasi kama viongozi ili kushughulikia mahitaji ya maendeleo, mahitaji ya kupatikana kwa kazi, mahitaji ya kuwa kwa biashara, mahitaji ya Wakenya, sio kwa mambo yetu ya kibinafsi.
Also present were MPs Benjamin Washiali, Mumias East, Enoch Kibuguchi, Lukiani, Malala Ejenti of Malava, former MP Boni Halwale, and the African Church of the Holy Spirit High Priest Shem Shamala. Halwale insisted that it was only DP Ruto who could solve the problem facing the Western region.
I have a reason why I'm telling you people it is William Ruto. Because even when Raila was Prime Minister for 5 years, when Musalia was Deputy Prime Minister for 5 years and Vice President for 3 months, hakuna kitu yenye wametufanyia sisi kama jamii ya uliokuwa mkoa wa Magharibi.
Huyu naibu wa rais, ili sasa saa hii tuanze kumfikiria kama wile atakuwa president na vile tunataka awe president ya 2022, ni kwa sababu alisimama na mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta.
With the current rising political temperatures, politicians are all out gun blazing, politicking and calling each other out in rallies, ignoring the measures put in place to curb the spread of coronavirus pandemic. Reporting for Switch TV, I'm Wellington Ojwang.
Elsewhere, NC party leader Musalia Mudavadi has called for Kenyans to support President Uhuru Kenyatta in the war against graft. Speaking during the burial of Bishop Baira Makoha, the NC party leader expressed his interest to run for the country's top seat come 2022 with an aim to revive the economy.
Sasa tunazungumza hapa na watu wamepora mali ya COVID, watu wamegonga KEMSA. Sisi tunaambia Uhuru, toa pingu. Toa pingu. Watu wajue kwamba ukiingia kwa mambo ya ufisadi, it is a very expensive and painful undertaking. Ndugu na dada, ile serikali itakuja, ni lazima waweke resuscitation, kufufua uchumi mbele. Tusipofanya hivyo tutakuwa na shida. Hapa kanisani na kule kwengine katika taifa letu, kuna vijana wengi ambao hawana kazi.
Shifting gears now to matters education. Education CS George Magoha today toured the Kenya Red Cross Training Institute and Boma International Hospitality College to ascertain the level of preparedness by the institutions ahead of the much-awaited resumption of learning across the country. The Ministry of Education has so far reiterated that schools will only reopen when adequate preparations have been put in place to ensure full compliance with the guidelines on COVID-19. The Red Cross-owned institutions have put in place measures to ensure the safety of their students once a go-ahead to reopen will be given.
All those can be rectified. Now we'll have a chef here doing the roll call. We'll split them into the 2 groups to go into 3 people.
So yeah, every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks.
Wash and put on another set. Excellent. Are we together? Yes. We are. Part of the next one. Thank you.
Did it go well?
Away from that, the debate on funding the judiciary and the delayed swearing-in of 41 judges took center stage as Chief Justice David Maraga commissioned the 65 million shillings Narok Law Courts buildings that had stalled for over a decade. Andrew Kero reports.
Local leaders and advocates in the Law Society of Kenya are appealing to President Uhuru Kenyatta to give a nod to the appointment of 41 judges for smooth judicial operations. The politicians faulted President Kenyatta for delaying the swearing-in of the judges, pointing out that the Judicial Service Commission has already played their role. Narok Senator Ledamo Lekina expressed that the executive should stop micromanaging other independent arms of government, insisting that it's unfortunate that the same remote control that is controlling the Senate is the same one that is arm-twisting the judiciary.
That when it comes to amending the Constitution, we will now introduce other provision. The powers given to the President, if the President is not able to act, like on these issues of appointing of judges, within 14 days, those judges become judges automatically.
North MP Mwitalelo Lekenta urged President Kenyatta to do the honorable thing and allow the swearing-in of the judges for Kenyans to access justice, saying Kenyans have been punished for no reason as they have been blocked from accessing justice as there is shortage of judges.
And sometimes I blame ourselves as Parliament for this. Because when you look at the kind of money that is lost in this country, billions and hundreds of billions of shillings.
Maraga, on his part, steered off the raging debates of budget and the swearing-in of the 41 judges, and instead pledged to establish the Children's Court in Narok, owing to the rising cases of teenage pregnancies, female genital mutilation, and early marriages. Justice Maraga also cited land succession cases were also on the rise in the county, and advised the judges handling such matters to use diligence in handling such matters, adding that cases that are over 5 years should be removed from the system.
We want to build a society where our children live without fear, and we are able to harness their talents.
Governor Samuel Tunai called on the judiciary to consider alternative dispute resolution mechanisms to solve perennial land disputes in the county. Andrew Kero, Switch TV.
Time to take a breather here on Breaking Today. Stay with us, still more to come after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Breaking Today. Kenya has confirmed 176 new cases of COVID-19 from 4,115 samples tested in the last 24 hours, bringing to 35,969 the number of confirmed positive infections. Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe in a statement said, from the cases, all are Kenyans except 5 foreigners. 329 people have also recovered from the disease, 43 of them from the home-based care program, and 286 discharged from various hospitals, taking the total recoveries to 22,771. 3 patients have, however, succumbed to the disease, bringing the country's fatality to 616. Away from that, Kenya and Uganda today commemorated 1 year since the signing of a peace deal between the Turkana West Pokot communities in Kenya and the Karamojong community in Uganda. The MOU was signed by Kenya's Cabinet Secretary for Devolution and Arid and Semi-Arid Lands, Eugene Amalwa, and Uganda's Minister for Karamojong Affairs, John, in Moroto, Uganda, at Naitakwe grounds on 12th September 2019. The signing of the peace deal was witnessed by President Uhuru Kenyatta and his Ugandan counterpart Yoweri Museveni, among other dignitaries. Daniel Kariuki takes us back in time as he narrates the story.
Song and dance, letters from head to toe. 2 nations come together in glamour and color. Kenya and Uganda join hands and sign a peace pact.
Hii mipaka haitakuwa mpaka tena ya vita. Itakuwa mpaka ya amani, maendeleo na utajiri.
Ile msingi ya mambo yale mawili, amani, maji, mnaona yameanza kuleta matunda.
After we sign this, will have peaceful coexistence between our neighbors living along the borders. Because without peace, there can be no development.
1 year on, the peace and beauty is shouting, no more bloodshed, no more wars. Kenya and Uganda's journey to freedom was marked. The joint collaboration, which was facilitated by the United Nations and has so far paid dividends, as the previously two warring communities, that of Turkana Pokot of Kenya and Karamojong of Uganda, put aside the differences and instead working together to ensure sustainable peace in the decades to come.
Let me go and speak there.
A number of leaders have since commented on the gains, challenges, opportunities and the transformation that has taken place since the Moroto Peace Accord was signed.
So this has been a plus for us. People are getting services because of this peace accord that has encouraged roads. People are now engaging in businesses. Trade has increased and people moving into Uganda.
Cabinet Secretary of Devolution Eugene Wamalwa, who signed the deal, hopes to have more peace deals with other regions to promote tourism and culture to boost livelihoods in the regions.
We have been able to attend Tobongulare in Turkana, and when you see these communities come together, it is so beautiful in terms of the similarities in culture and the joy it brings to the communities.
According to the Senate Leader of Majority, Samuel Pogisio, the peace deal has changed the environment whereby instead of cattle rustling, residents there are doing businesses and trading cattle with each other, which has improved the economy.
It's been so peaceful. From around that time on, we are now able to walk the distances without any fear, and the children have been able to go to school because they don't have to move around so much. And so the enrollment in school was getting up, except for this COVID period, was very high.
UNDP resident representative in Kenya, Walid Badawi, via Zoom interview notes how they have eliminated illegal flow of small arms and light weapons in the border areas by strengthening the peace actors' capacity.
Both on the Kenya side as well as on the Uganda side, UNDP has actually invested about $1 million of its own resources for each of the countries to actually implement some of these catalytic interventions that give life to this MOU, so that we ensure that what has been a political framework can very quickly translate into meaningful activities.
President Kenyatta said something very remarkable that day in Moroto. He said that unless young people, there is the free movement of young people, of goods, services, we will not be able to generate the kind of intellectual capital and human capital that we need to advance each other.
President of Uganda, President of Kenya,
it is indeed a happy, peaceful 1-year pact anniversary, a pact that communities will live to appreciate and global leaders would need to replicate. Daniel Kariuki for Switch TV.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife has released its detailed data showing international flights into Kenya for the month of August sees a reopening of international flights on the 1st of August 2020. As Kennedy Kimani reports, the data released by Tourism Research Institute focuses on the number of international arrivals via airports into Kenya and their purposes of visit.
Since the reopening of international borders on the 1st of August 2020, Kenya has had 14,049 international arrivals, with the major points of entry being Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, Moi International Airport Mombasa, Wilson Airport and Wajir Airport. Of the 14,049 arrivals, 6,368 came to visit family and friends, 3,685 for holiday, while the rest came for business purposes, education, medical, sports, meetings, conferences, exhibitions, and religious purposes. The top 3 international arrivals by country are United States of America with 2,768, United Kingdom with 2,469, and Uganda with 506. As for the weekly flights, Qatar Airways flies in 14 times, Emirates 10 times, Air France 7 times, Lufthansa 6 times, KLM 5 times, Turkish Airlines 3 times, Air Arabia 3 times, Swiss 1 time, and Ethiopian Airlines depends on realized capacity. The data released is invaluable to the country as it helps Kenya keep track of international tourist numbers to determine whether tourism and travel is improving since the easing of travel restrictions and the resumption of international flights into the country. Kennedy Kimani, Switch TV.
And now I'm tossing the ball to Cedric Oronje for the latest from the world of sports.
Many thanks for joining us. My name is Cedric Oronje. And it's just been seven hours since the start of the EPL, the long-awaited. But before we indulge into that, let us just get our daily sport dosage. A section of residents in Mawandoni, Kisauni sub-county of Mombasa are up in arms against attempts to grab a football pitch by a prominent tycoon. The residents say the football field, popularly known as Kishanda, is being eyed by a local tycoon who is using the police to arrest people. They stay grabbing and evicting it, mainly targeting the poor and the vulnerable, and alleged by the local businessman.
Kwa majina mimi naitwa Athmani Munyishe, ni head coach wa Kishada. Problem tuliyoko nayo hapa kubwa ni ya kiwanja. Serikali siku zote nazungumza tuhimidi vijana wetu wacheze mpira. Mambo ya drugs nini na nini tumejaribu. Sasa hii tuko na vijana 120. Tuko na timu 3. Tuna timu ya Div 2, tuna timu ya county na tuna timu ya under 15. Lakini kumetokezea mtu kwa muda mdogo anasema lazima yeye hichi kiwanja ni chake. Na mimi mwenyewe nimecheza hapa 1974. Nilianza hapa ikiwa hakuna nyumba hata moja. Tulianza hapa 1974. Sasa hii ndio ametokezea.
Menyanyaswa sana katika hii sehemu uwanja kwa sababu uwanja haukuwa hivyo kwanza. Ulikuwa uwanja mmoja mkubwa sana, ulikuwa uwanja mzuri wa kuvutia Kisauni nzima. Leo hii tuna vijana wengi wanaharibika mitaani, ushaona? Ambapo hii ndio ingekuwa changamoto ya kwanza kama serikali ya kaunti ije tusaidie kupigania kuchukua uwanja ili vijana watoke mtaani, waache kufuata mihadarati, waache kuingia kwenye sehemu mbaya ambapo mitaani kuna mambo ya mapanga, na wengi ni vijana ambao wadogo wana uwezo wa kuja kufanya mazoezi, kucheza hapa.
Na uchungu sana kama kijana mwenye talanta